Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. Oh my goodness.
Whoa!
Oh, you passed muster.
God's love.
Busybody, don't.
You want it to do?
Oh,
You want it to do?
do you want these?
I think they like the way I tease.
Okay.
I use this makeup that kind of has a little honey in it. So think about it. Your university arterial is your major, one of your major east and west arterials. So going north and south, anytime the train comes by, you're gonna have congestion going north and south off of university. And off of Snelling and University, they call it a target-rich environment. And I was really resentful that they call it a target-rich environment, because you know who the targets are? They're you. They're the cyclists. That's who the targets are. And so instead of looking at a safety issue for what it is, they call it a target-rich environment. Then in the winter, when people are splashing stuff, they're going to take away the parked cars. So in the winter, when the cars are driving by and the buses are coming by, they're going to splash stuff. If you're on the sidewalk, you're gonna get splashed. Think about it. And so I'm beginning to think, now instead of having a compromise system that costs that much, now they're saying $1 billion for 11 miles of track, okay, 11 miles. Typical cost overruns for a project like that is 40%. Okay, so now you're at 1.4 billion. Then they're going to have to pay off a couple of lawsuits, one for U of M and one for MPR, and U of M has a second lawsuit, so I don't know whether there's any money involved there. And they got to pay off business loss mitigation. There were 1,200 businesses when we got started. Now there's about 1,000. So some of them have left already, gone out. So you got to pay business loss mitigation. Now, how much does each business lose? We don't know. Could it be $250,000? Could it be 100,000? Could it be $1 million? So you start adding that up for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Now you're adding up real money. Then we got to build also parking lots, big parking, we call them parking ramps. And we knew that one of them would cost at least $1 million. And then we got to build extra stations, you know. Then you start adding it all up. All of a sudden, you might be really close to $2 billion. Now, if we're going to spend $2 billion, shouldn't we spend it on a brand new system that is not compromising an existing one? You know, when you have a system that is already very congested and we're going to compromise it some more, that I don't see as a good decision. Now, if we go on to another route and pick maybe above ground or below ground, now all of a sudden it becomes a whole new ballgame. Then we get a brand new system that is all different. You get a whole new dimension to your traffic. Now that I like. You would never be able to figure out what the bureaucrats would do. The reason why it's such a big deal to them is because Oberstar, right, is the head of the Appropriations Committee, and they're thinking that he'll bring home the bacon. And that's the reason why they're thinking they're getting the matching funds. But even then, we're competing against 17 to 23 metropolitan areas. They may not get it.
Well, it's been being worked on for 30 years, isn't that what you told me?
Yeah, the mayor keeps saying that it's been worked on for 30 years in my debate. I said, well, if it wasn't right for 30 years, why is it all of a sudden right?
Well, that's my point. You know, to me, Nancy, and I haven't spoken that publicly about it, is like, that's the quick fix. That's the chemotherapy. The cause, we need transit. We need ways to get people out of their cars. But to go down University Avenue, the University of Minnesota is suing because their instrument's going to be screwed up. The NPR is suing because their instrument's going to be screwed up. You know, it's like they didn't even take a sensible route. Why didn't they make it down that rail line? We have a perfect rail line.
Right. Oh, north of University.
Yeah, you're going to invest about $2 billion total. You probably want to build it right.